So last week I did a little bit of a review, I think it was Thursday or Friday, on the BG Frigidaire. And it's got that little can of R134 oil, or the PAG and 134 mixture. And I had a few comments. The guys were like, well, how are you using a regular low side suction line to puncture that self-sealing can, and instead of a metal one that line is designed for? Guys, you got to think a little bit outside the box. Some of you that are faithful to the channel, sometimes when you say things, instead of asking questions like, how did you do that? When you say, oh, you're lying, it's kind of silly, because we're all supposed to be professionals, and there's more than one way to skin a cat, they say, right? If you take this puncture nipple and you run it through that can a few times, over and over and over and over again, you actually open that diaphragm up enough to where you can take the can and turn it upside down, and you can actually do like an up and down motion, and it will push the fluid past that seal, along with the suction on the suction side, the low side line. It'll actually pull it past that. There's no clean cut and dry way of, this is the only way. There's many ways to do things. And I don't know if it's people feel like they're inferior, that somebody else can do something a different way than them, or maybe it's just the fact that they've never been shown any other way, so they hold on to what, the only way that they know. Typically with those little cans that have the self-sealing rubber ends, you would use a screw-in style that has a push type nozzle on the top of it, and it does expedite the process of getting the whatever chemical R134 oil out of the can. But it's not the only way to do it. I was just talking to another one of the techs in the shop, and I borrowed his line, and I was taking it back to him, and I said, yeah, I caught some grief for actually using this with the BG Frigicharge. And he said, what do you mean? And I said, well, guys that have been in the field for a while, that have been on the channel, all of a sudden started talking shit, talking about how, oh, you're lying, you didn't get that Frigicharge in the AC system. And I was like, dude, I clearly used the line and just ran the puncture nipple over and over and over again into the can until it opened it up enough to actually take the can and just do light little shakes, pushing the fluid past the seal until it was all out of the can, and the suction from the low side line. He said, you know why? Because you're doing something that they didn't think they were able to do. So they feel inferior to you. They feel like you may have learned, or something that they don't think is possible, and it makes them feel smaller than what they actually are. I think in the industry, most of us, I learned things from you guys as well. Somebody left me a comment on a Chevy or something last week, and it was something to do with a mass airflow sensor that I had an issue with in the past. And I actually went back to the vehicle and I checked the connections, like exactly where they were saying at that same MAF. And sure enough, the main, or the pin 1 or pin 5 or something in the connector inherently was loose. And I just took a pick and I closed that one little pin up some more, and I checked for pin fitment. And I guess it's a common issue with the MAF sensors on some of the Chevy Cruises. The guy was absolutely right. It was something that I overlooked, and I learned from him. I learned something that I didn't know on that particular car, that MAFs can be an issue on those little 4 turbocharged deals, those Chevy Cruises, and they've seen quite a few issues at his dealership. I learned something from him, and you know what I did? I said, thanks, bud. Thanks for teaching me something that I overlooked, and I didn't know. I didn't know that was a typical concern with those. And he said, that's all it is. I appreciate it. I've learned a lot from you, and I'm just giving you back. Guys, don't always comment on somebody's video because you don't think that there's another way to do it, and somebody's lying. I've got no reason to lie to you. I have nothing to gain by lying to you. And I know some of you think, why do you make videos catering to the trolls? It's not so much me making videos catering to the trolls. I use those experiences and accusations to make videos to show people it is possible. There are other ways to do it. And you can succeed if you just think outside the box. And you can get it done very efficiently. Don't always think that your way is the only way, unless it's a personal choice. Then it becomes the only way because it's your personal choice. But it doesn't have to be everybody else's. Here in a couple hours, we're going to pull that valve cover on my car on the Mystery Marvel oil. and we're gonna see what inside that valve cover looks like. I hope y'all are standing by waiting for that, because it's gonna be, I'm excited. I'm really excited. Took a quick break right now because I've been working on some pretty interesting stuff today, and I'm doing my little lunch break now, my little 10-15 minute break, and then going right back to work, finishing the day out strong, and then jumping on my truck after I clock out, and we'll see what it looks like inside that valve cover. Just wanted to cover this real quick for y'all, just so you can hear from me yourself, and just keep an open mind.